Welcome to the webinar about basic digital businesses. My name is Adam Jones.
And I'm Preston Snyder.
And we are digital navigators with the Whitman County Library System. And today, our heart is to talk about digital businesses. They're kind of the new hip thing that a lot of people have been talking about. But as with any business, there's still processes and development and growth that is going to occur in every business's life cycle. So our hope today is to demystify the digital business process, make it more approachable as a topic for individuals,
And to inspire you to test the waters of creativity with all the tools, programs, and platforms available.
That being said, we're going to be going through some definitions of what is the digital business, some additional resources that you may reach out to, what types of digital businesses exist and kind of how to interact with them, how you might be able to outsource some of your own parts of your digital business to others, and then evaluate what's going to work best for you as you move forward. So, step one, we're going to be looking at what is a digital business. And typically it's denoted by the use of technology to add value into your business model, product, or customer service experience. And it's usually going to be denoted by the lack of physical objects that are, especially if a decrease in physical objects to fulfill the product or the service rendered. So maybe there's a newer way, faster way to provide the same product or service as compared to a traditional brick and mortar. And in comparison to a brick and mortar, it should be denoted by a lower operational cost. When you have a brick and mortar business, there's utilities, electricity, insurance, all kinds of other things needed to make sure that space is maintained and working as needed to make sure that it's inviting for people to come into. With the digital business, typically you don't have those things. And as another business model, a lot of people will talk about software as a service, where you're just providing usually kind of a smaller task-oriented software. For example, we knew a gentleman who made a time clock software where all you had to do as an employee was send a text message saying, clock in. And then when you're clocking out for the day, you just send a text message again saying, I've clocked out. And that was the whole service. And with that, it was very low maintenance, very little customer support. And he was able to generate revenue and grow his business without a brick and mortar, without employees, without a lot of additional things that a traditional business would need to have. He eventually then sold it to QuickBooks. So, in addition to that, there are a lot of resources available. If you're more curious about some other ways to sell online, we do have another video on our YouTube channel. We also encourage you to reach out to your local Small Business Development Center. They are a free resource guide through the Small Business Administration where they can advise you and help you with your business plan, your services, and even market research. We highly recommend engaging with your local SBDC agent.
Highly. We'll reiterate.
They're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. Additionally, your local Chamber of Commerce does still have ways to assist you, guide you, and encourage you in this process. So feel free to reach out to your local SBDC and to your local Chamber of Commerce and to others who may be able to guide you along this path. So, retail, services, and content creation. Those are the three primary digital business models that are out there, and we're going to talk about them in more details. E-retail or e-commerce or e-tailing, there's a lot of words for it, but typically it's just selling goods and services through the internet. Typically they're going to be denoted with strong distribution networks that are prompt and efficient. When we look at something like that, we kind of imagine Amazon or even Walmart Plus, where they have really strong distribution networks. They're very fast, they're very prompt, 2-day shipping, and they're able to service their clients and their customers very, very easily. The funny thing is, consumers can be impatient and don't have the typical patience to wait for long periods for the delivery of products. So if you're extending out past 2 days, 3 days, well, they could have just bought it in store, which pre-2020, Even Bed Bath & Beyond ran advertising talking about this of, why wait 2 days to 7 days? Just buy it in the store and take it home. Why wait? And they were right in a lot of their advertising for just come to the store, grab it and go. All done. With that, there's also additional transparency. People want to know, hey, where's my package? Where's the money going? Can I actually trust this group?
Where's it being sourced? How did you develop it? Like there's a lot more. It opens up a lot more questions, and there's a demand for a little more answers. So transparency is huge.
And that being said, when we think of e-retail or e-commerce, you can always have your own e-commerce store, building it out on Wix, Squarespace, Shopify, or WordPress, or you can sell your products and goods on Etsy, which is kind of a marketplace for kind of craft creators. You can sell it on eBay, which is more of an auction-based site. So there's no set price, but there kind of is, but there kind of isn't unless you do buy it now. Or you have Amazon, which is just kind of a giant mall for products. But a few things to keep in mind. A lot of people are beginning to complain about Amazon, Etsy, eBay, and Walmart specifically because they've been allowing these third-party, typically drop shippers, into the marketplace that begin to flood and make it more difficult for smaller companies or individuals to sell on the platform. And this is why you're seeing, if you type in water bottle, you might see 20 of the same water bottle with the same description, with the same picture, 20, 30, 40 times, but all like with slightly different titles. That's typically your drop shippers and your third-party retailers trying to enter in and flood into the market. Now, this does make more money for Amazon, Etsy, and Walmart. However, it makes a more frustrating experience for the end user. And that's where you're going to see a lot of delineations of shipped and fulfilled by. That's when it's shipped by Amazon. That's when it's fulfilled by Amazon and not these third-party retailers. Now, Amazon is fascinating because you are able to say, hey, I have water bottles and I want to ship them myself. Hey, that's awesome. You actually do gain more profit, more revenue from doing that. Or you can say, hey, I don't really want to deal with shipping. I don't want to package everything individually. I'm going to send 500 water bottles to Amazon and they can fulfill, ship, manage and process returns, do all of that business management for me. I just have to get them the water bottles. And that's a model that works really pretty well. You do pay a bit more in fees because they're doing a lot of legwork for you. They're also doing a lot of tax paperwork for you too. So there's give and takes in this type of digital business. But in this model, all you have to have is good copywriting, good marketing, and good branding. You're not having inventory, shipping, or half a dozen other things in your home or at a commercial space. The other thing to think about is e-tailers who are just straight distributors. ForInkjet.com is a phenomenal example of this, where they have their own product, but it's basically ink and toner cartridges for printers. They just kind of slap their label on it and they sell it on their website. And usually it's discounted or cheaper than purchasing an OEM ink cartridge from Staples or Walmart, but that's all they do is just toner and ink, nothing else. And they have a strong warehouse, logistics, and shipping operation, so they're able to just run it. You do also have e-tailers that are the straight manufacturers, like your Dell or Acer or Apple or others who make the product and sell it directly to the consumer. For example, with water bottles, it might be Camelback or Yeti or other manufacturers who sell through Target, sell through Walmart, but are willing still to sell directly through their website. The other thing to keep in mind is resellers. KEH.com is a great example of this. They buy and sell camera equipment and primarily lenses. So you can sell your camera lens to them and they're going to hold that inventory and sell it when somebody's willing to pay the right price. So it's not really auction-based like eBay. It's not necessarily, they're not making anything, they're not manufacturing anything. They're not even really distributing anything other than buying and reselling a certain type of product. And that's a very common business model, and it can work in a lot of cases.
So then we talk about the service side of things, and this is where you're able to outsource your work, whether you are calling in or looking for a remote assistant, virtual assistants. There's a whole line of names for those. If people like you are hiring somebody else to do some tasks for you. There are areas where you can find very niched down creative or technical support. So like, here are the people that you go to talk to about a very specific type of camera and how they work. And it's, I'm running into troubleshooting issues, or like, okay, here are all the people that work specifically with Apple devices or Adobe products. I'm having a problem with Photoshop. Big community of people to go through to talk about this specific problem. And then, of course, you have the other set of courses, teaching, workshops. And when we have areas like that, we run into things like lynda.com, Coursera, Skillshare, where you are creating a full-scale course, you are presenting it to the public, and then you get a share of how many people are viewed per whatever the fee structure is from Lynda. So you can get paid essentially to teach after you've developed a course. So there's a lot of ways to walk through the service side of things. Some of the things that we've seen as specific services or areas are transcription services. So this is whether it is a software that is using AI to try and transcribe like Otter, or people that you are directly paying to who are going to go in, type per hour, listen to you, and give you a transcription back. You have full marketplaces like Fiverr, where you can look up pretty much anything that you need done, and there is a group of people there who, depending on who you're looking for or what kind of job you are, I'm going to make a specific logo style in a cartoon-esque way with these fonts, and there's like 6 people doing it similarly. Who's the best out of these? You have options for specific work you need done, and you're paying freelancers. There's online notary services. There are virtual assistants, a huge thing where do you just need general help and just need somebody to either remote or share digital documents to help you, like, okay, I need somebody consistently on a regular basis to fill in this Excel sheet from work that has been done. And just hiring somebody remotely who all they need access to is that Excel spreadsheet, and all of a sudden they can help come alongside you to do that work. We have new innovations like telehealth, and online counseling. This is things like BetterHealth, where instead of having to actually go to a doctor or to find a therapist, in essence, there's a single marketplace, and they're coming to you. So there's a lot of neat innovations in the service industry. Or we use a directory service to help find work. So again, I spoke about Fiverr. There's similar services like Upwork, Guru.com, and then an example from a service like NotaryLive.com.
And we can even speak to some of these, because we've used every single one of these services, and we've also, aside from NotaryLive.com, tried to gain work from these sources, and it can and does work. Notary Live is a fascinating one because it's specifically for notary people. And so if you have your notary license, you can sign up with them, and they will actually schedule appointments for you. Or if you're just online all the time, they're able to say, hey, great, we got someone, go in and hop in. I need the notary service, and instead of trying to call around town, trying to find something, in less than 20 minutes, I had paperwork notarized and done for about $20. And it was fabulous. It was fabulous. The main thing to keep in mind when you are looking to perform work using these services, there are going to be larger fees. So Fiverr takes, I think one of the largest chunks is a 20% fee. Upwork is 10%. Sometimes you can have the client pay for your fees. Depends on the relationship. Guru has some varying levels of fees, but they sit at about 9%. Notary Live is a little bit different because they do it based on the type of work. Like I said, in my example, it was $20 just to have the notary service done. But if I had additional signers, it's an additional $5 per signer. And so then they receive kind of a portion of whatever that total signing amount is. And so there's a lot of ways that it's presented, that's done, but these groups will help you connect with clients that need your services. And that being said, you can actually make quite a bit of money doing this. This is a voice actor that we use who happens to be local. We use him in quite a few of our advertising commercials. And this is all he does is he sits in his office. He has some padding. He has a decent microphone. And as you can see, I took a screenshot yesterday about this, and he has over 1,041 reviews. So he's performed the service over 1,000 times since 2020. And these are fantastic. He is a very, very talented individual. And even then, when you say, okay, well, how much money can you really make? At bare minimum, he is charging $40 per voice. But then it's like, okay, well, hey, I'm going to script proofreading. I'm going to give you full broadcast rights. I'm going to split up the files. I'm going to do additional revisions. And so not only is it the base level service, but there are additional value add-ons that can make this even more profitable for you on a day-to-day basis. And once again, this is an individual we work with locally. He's phenomenal. He's been contacted by foreign governments. He's been contacted by larger companies, Fortune 500s, who are all using Fiverr to just receive a service, to receive a voiceover that works. So there's a lot to evaluate and to consider when you're looking into this.
Another almost new form of work has emerged in the recent years in the form of content creation, and we'd almost call it entertainment as a service. And this has arrived in a lot of streaming and video-based platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and then a incorporation of membership platforms like Patreon. So with Twitch, you have the ability to do live streaming. Typically, this is done for video games where, okay, we're going to play a video game, we're going to watch somebody, and then there is usually a lot of interaction with chat boxes, and you have a mixture of, okay, monetization, of which these people get paid through advertisements that Twitch will occasionally play, or people just directly gifting money if they're enjoying it. Oh, I have a comment, I want to be read on stream. I'm going to pay some money so that it shows up in the streamer's obligated to say it. And it's very interact with your audience in a very more personal way of if there is a Twitch streamer that you like, you do have the ability to interact with them in a more direct way than you typically would any other kind of celebrity. YouTube is similar, where while they do have also live stream capability, you're making videos on a regular basis. Again, you are getting a share of advertising revenue from YouTube. You also have the ability to kind of build these communities of members of if they want access to maybe more exclusive content you're making or something like that, you can pay to be a YouTube member on a channel and just interact with, okay, somebody's making videos that I consume a lot of. What can I do as part of that community to give back to them in a financial way? And then a service like Patreon, where you are creating essentially tier systems with perks and benefits that, okay, if you pay me $5 a month, you can join me in a Discord server, or you get access to my videos 2 days before everyone else, and then kind of a tier system. If you pay me $20 a month, then you are part of a group that gets a call with me once a month and things where you have the ability to interact. You are essentially getting a monthly retainer worth of money from your most dedicated fans. And this is as you have built an audience a way, one of many ways, more and more creative ways come out even every year to monetize and participate in a business sense through entertainment. Now, entertainment as a service inherently is tough to start and can take quite some time before you're able to begin making money from it. In general, what we've seen is that if you are not committed between 2 to 5 years of pushing on a platform like this, it is unlikely that you will succeed. It takes a long time to develop your skills, be found in these algorithms where many, many people are all competing in a market, and then hitting the thresholds in order to even qualify for some of these monetization aspects. The two examples we'll use are what it takes to to apply to be a YouTube partner and a Twitch partner. Before we get into that, the floor is open to anybody. This is one of those, if you're able to work hard and figure out who your audience is, you are not limited by who you are and what your content is. Our example is Shirley Curry. She is a delightful grandma who interacts with her audience that she refers as her grandchildren, and she plays video games and has people along for the ride, essentially as a fantastic retirement project where what am I going to do? Share stories, walk through, have funny adventures, and interact with a bunch of people that otherwise would have no business never meeting and a way to be social. And she has over 1 million subscribers and is doing phenomenally well on this platform. And she's 87. There is not a limit to your ability to succeed. It's just how you get there can take quite a while. So to become a YouTube partner, these are the latest requirements, and these are very, very recent. Like this changed here in the last month to be considered for monetization on YouTube. So you have to hit a threshold of you need 500 subscribers. You need at least 3,000 hours of public watch time, I believe, within a year, or 3 million public shorts views. So if you're doing short form content, within 90 days. And then you need to apply for review, of which there are a few other thresholds, like, is your content original? Are you contributing to the point where, like, we would want to pay you money? Is your content original? And how is your audience? Do you have a following? Like, you have subscribers, but is your content being interacted with? So it will go to manual review, and YouTube themselves, as part of Google, will say, welcome in, or here's some additional thresholds we'd like you to meet before we bring you in. Before this, all of these metrics were double. So as these have gone back and more people have gotten access to the program, YouTube has also gotten more picky of like, what is the content that we want to see now that we've lowered the barrier to entry? So it's been interesting, but after that, you then get access to ad revenue, membership, and immediately these ways to make money. On the Twitch end, it is similar with some additional give and take because of the nature of the platform. So these are the latest requirements, is that you need to hit their path to partner achievement. And in their words, it means you need at least 25 hours of streaming. You need to have streamed across 12 days with an average of 75 viewers or more per stream. And that is just to be qualified to have them look at you. Also, your content has to follow community guidelines. So if you're saying things that are kind of strange, or you've gotten in trouble for any like, oh, I showed copyrighted content, or maybe I said something that wasn't particularly child-friendly, that could work against you. And these metrics, your consistency in streaming, how often you are, and your hour thresholds, and how many viewers you have needs to be maintained. So if you got lucky, had a viral hit, and you had one really good stream, and then all your others are like maybe you're getting 50 viewers, you might not get it. But then after that, similar things to YouTube where you get access to monetization through advertising, your ability to create partners and kind of tier systems for your chat, and then other ways to begin monetizing. The other specific thing for YouTube and Twitch is that you do have to pick one. They are particular and defensive of they will not, if you have a partner contract with YouTube, Twitch will not take you. And likewise, if you have a Twitch partnership, YouTube will not take if you have a platform, you're doing well on multiple. When it comes time for monetization, they are very keen on you need to pick a side and dedicate yourself to that one. But there's all kinds of other paths to monetization outside of this, which includes merchandising. So these are things like toys, shirts, your individual memorabilia, postcards, bottles, stickers has been a huge one. And then lately, within the last year, plushies have been huge. I've seen content creators that have maybe no business making plushies come out with a limited edition. All right, here we go. We're only going to do one run of this. Here you go. It's like, okay, let's buy a thing that you have. It's fun. But almost going back to the traditional method of I have a product, let's sell product. We talked about Patreon. You have people directly paying you on a monthly basis to get more access to you and additional content and perks. And then additional value add items. Maybe it's a custom curated notebook, custom reports on specific things depending on your genre, some direct messaging. Some people will do, okay, I have a specific course, and you get into things such as affiliate marketing. So it's, where's your value, or are we selling something that is exclusive to me for you to access that you can only see through viewing my content? So there's a lot here, and it just continues to grow. The third part is outsourcing as a whole. And of course, our favorite thing to talk about, the paperwork. So first, for outsourcing, if you need work done, you can do it through the following freelancing services that we haven't talked about. Fiverr, Upwork, Guru,
Or the big elephant in the room sometimes is AI systems. The internet is abuzz with AI this, AI that. There are some systems where they can do a lot of the work for you. If you're saying, hey, I don't know how to write content for my website, for my business, those AIs can actually get you pretty far. And so not everyone's going to use these tools. Not everyone's going to access these tools. So this is a good time to say, hey, we will generate whatever you need using AI or outsourcing to it.
On the other hand, we talked about you needing work done. We've talked about, but haven't focused on if you want to work. A lot of the platforms stay exactly the same. So if you need to get work done, it is about the same. Some of these platforms where you don't want to manage something like your own website, app, or platform network, you can use freelance platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, Guru, Etsy, eBay. So a lot of this is finding what you need. There are a lot of these services that you can apply for, and you can start work without management and overhead and all of these things. But at the end of the day, there is a special time called tax season in which you need to be aware of your paperwork. So we'll get into that in a second, but you can find remote assistance, tax bookkeeping, appointment setting, photo and video editing, commissioned paintings and art, people to do errand running for you, people to deliver your food. There is so much that you can do. Really, if you have imagination and thought to it, there's probably something that either you can get access to and use, or a place that you can enter and begin providing your skills.
And that's where this is really a powerful concept when you think about how to run a digital business where we don't have a brick and mortar, where we don't have a footprint. You don't have to have all the skills needed to run a business. When you're leveraging the network of other individuals and other freelancers and other people who are also running digital businesses and digital services, you're able to leverage a lot of that to provide, at the end of the day, a better service to your customers and clients as well. And it's kind of funny because we say, okay, well, yeah, you can have someone run errands for you. Oh man, if I actually don't have to go to the post office and someone can drop that off for me, oh, absolutely, that's amazing. I can have my food delivered to me and I can keep working on what I'm doing or make sure that my clients and my customers are well taken care of. That's awesome. I don't have to think about that. I don't have to worry about that. Now, granted, if you want to make sure that the fruit is exactly what you would have picked, you might have to go to the store yourself. But if you want that TV mounted just right in your living room, you can hire a TaskRabbit and they'll take care of it for you. There's a lot of opportunities and options.
So paperwork. That said, hopefully there is none, but you do need, if there's any conditions for licensing that you need to prepare either to the service or to your respective state or federally, make sure that your licensing is done, you have proof of it, etc. So if you are running and starting a business, you should have your business license and business paperwork taken care of, and subsequently your tax paperwork. Just because you are freelancing does not make you exempt from taxes. So make sure during tax season, you've given the platform all the information they need to give you the right paperwork, whether it's a 1099 or whatever system that they use. If you have generated income through them, They are obligated to give you a tax form to help you file your refund. So that's in a lot of ways, people have found freelancing and doing business like this to be a lot more freeing, except for the month of April, where you're trying to manage all of your taxes. Make sure you're paying attention to it. Make sure you have your tax paperwork in order. And there are online services that can help you with this.
Absolutely. And a big part of it is understanding that Fiverr, like I said before, takes the largest fee at 20%. But at the end of the day, they're doing your marketing, they're doing your advertising, they're doing your taxes, they're doing a lot of the communication platform stuff. They're helping to mitigate your contracts. They help you when there's a dispute with a customer. They do a lot of facilitation of stuff. So if you're able to kind of, once again, outsource those parts of your business processes to a platform that already has that infrastructure set up, then you're able to focus on the thing that you actually want to do on a day-to-day basis. So then we have to ask the question, what's better? What's best for you? How do we evaluate?
It depends.
Our favorite answer.
What are your goals? What is your product or service offering? How much do you want to manage? How much do you want to be responsible for? How is the market? Do they have what you need? Is there a place for you to enter? Do you need to be innovative? Like, there are all these questions and more. As you would as you're trying to figure out a regular business, it is worth sitting back, making sure you have a plan, and then looking for the options that align with what you are trying to do. For example, one of the biggest things that's happened with a lot of these tools is indie video games has become a thing where people have essentially bootstrapped entire studios from freelancers, where there's a person saying, I have an idea and I know how to code, but I am terrible at graphic design. I have no idea how to do music, and I have no concept for how to do things like user interface. And don't even get me started on marketing. So you would go on a Fiverr or other communities and be like, hey, I need help with this, this, this. You hire people, and you've essentially done what ordinarily would have taken a large studio, a large amount of time. Everybody specializes there. But you remain a lot of the creative control, but you're able to do so much more than you other would have on your own because you now have access to a network of people that can do these things. So are you able to build a plan? What can you do? Understand what your limits are, and then you can fill in the gaps of anywhere that you need help.
And that's where we look at the idea of goals. What is your lifestyle goal? What are you hoping to do? Is this a stage of life where you're saying, hey, I need to have a digital business that pays for my whole family? All right, then let's look at some scale. Let's look at some pricing. Let's look at what industry or thing might fit best. Or if you're like Shirley or Tim, who just say, hey, I'm retired and I want to do some fun stuff. Awesome. There's a place and there's a market. And that being said, we always do have to ask the question of, how is the market? A lot of times we may have a business idea that we test for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. And if we're not able to get any sales, well, then there's no harm, no foul. I haven't signed a lease. I haven't signed a whole lot of government paperwork. I don't pay for utilities. We're able to test a lot of these ideas and get market validation ahead of anything else without especially that major investment. So take the time, seek, try. And that's the cool part is we can just try and see what works, see what we like. Maybe we do get into the work and we say, oh, I don't even like this. Well, once again, you did not sign a lease.
Build for you. This is, again, going back to the idea, make sure you know what you're building. If you have a plan, walking through, get a vision of the thing you're trying to create. There are an abundance of tools and platforms for many different purposes that you can build what you need. Pick the building blocks you need and go build something amazing. In an almost very real way, the tools at your disposal are just about endless. So if you have an idea, write it through, build it, test it, go out and create something.
Once again, thank you so much for attending our webinar today. If you found this interesting, give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and put a comment down below. In the description, we're going to have information for digital navigators, for the ACP program, all kinds of resources. And if you have any questions, feel free to call the Digital Navigator hotline. We are so happy to talk to you about how to access any of those services, work with your devices, start a digital business. Reach out, and we're happy to assist. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for coming.